Now Ayrshire Radio Podcast presents Ayrshire Insights with Elliot Boyce.
Welcome back to Ayrshire Insights with me, Elliot Boyce, and as promised, we have a brilliant guest on today's show for this week's Local Legend Spotlight. This man's impact stretches far beyond business and deep into the heart of our communities. He's known for his entrepreneurial drive, his philanthropy, and his unwavering commitment to giving back to the place he calls home. I'm delighted to welcome Sir Tom Hunter of the Hunter Foundation. Sir Tom, a massive thanks for joining us in the show today.
You're welcome, Elliot. I'm looking forward to it. Fire away.
So, before we find out about how it all started, it is a Sunday morning, so most people will have the frying pan and the kettle on. So the big question is, are you a tomato sauce or brown sauce man?
There's only one sauce for me, Elliot, and that's tomato.
Do you prefer a tea or a coffee?
Coffee?
And lastly, what's your go-to Sunday morning roll?
Oh, well, rolling square sausage.
You can't beat it. You can tell a lot about a person with their Sunday morning roll routine, but we're going to find out a lot more about Sir Tom Hunter very soon.
You're listening to Ayrshire Insights with Elliot Boyce.
Now Ayrshire Radio.
And we're hearing how it all began. So, Sir Tom, where did you grow up?
So, I grew up in a wee place called New Cumnock, in East Ayrshire, and my dad was a local grocer there, and that's where I was born and bred.
So, as an Ayrshire lad, what school did you go to?
So, in New Cumnock, it was called the Toon Skill. Castle Primary is the posh name for it, and then we had to go to Cumnock Academy for the secondary school.
So, what was your very, very first job? So, the one before the empire building kicked in?
Well, as I said, my dad was a local grocer, so he had a shop in New Cumnock. And I mean, my dad was and is my hero. And I loved getting into the shop with my dad and learning he used to wear a white coat, stood behind the counter in the grocer's shop. And that's how I learned how to buy and sell. And I guess I was in the shop from about age 6 or 7.
So an early upbringing in business. And then I take it from your side then, did you always see yourself going into your own business, or how did you see yourself developing through rather than working for someone else?
Yeah, well, I think I always had it within me that I wanted to work for myself, but I thought I might need to get some experience elsewhere. But when I left university, nobody would give me a job, so I had to invent my own job.
What did you study at university?
I studied economics and marketing.
And do you feel that what you got from your degree, has that been a helping stone throughout your business career?
Not at all. It was complete and utter waste of time.
so better doing what you did. So what sparked the moment? So where did sports division come from? How did that form and grow to where it was prior to you to selling it?
Yeah, well, as I said, my dad had a shop in New Cumnock, but it was a miners' strike and the mines never really reopened. So my dad had to close the shop, and he put a small amount of money in with another Cumnock entrepreneur, Davy Hammond, and they sold shoes around the markets and the Blair Road market in Ayr and Irvine and the Forum. And I was at university, and I would come home at the weekends and look at the sales, and I noticed trainers were a big part of this, and that's what sparked my first idea, Elliot.
Fantastic. So going from that point to then growing the business, so what would you say your first big step in starting to create the business idea was, and growing it from working in the markets to then growing to where it ended up?
Yeah, so for the first 5 years I couldn't afford my own shop, so I had to come up with this idea of selling the shoes in other people's shops and selling trainers with jeans with denim, which nobody had really thought about, which was incredible to think about these days. But for the first 5 years, I was selling the shoes in other people's shops, like Keen Jeans, like River Island, etc. People like that. So I saved up, and I suppose the first big thing was opening my own shop in Paisley. 5 years later, a very small shop, but that was the start of being a kind of master of my own destiny, if you like.
Fantastic. Now, I'm pretty sure there's been a lot of big wins and big lessons throughout your business journey, and we're going to talk about that next.
Tune in live every Sunday from 10 a.m. for Ayrshire Insights with Elliot Boyce.
Only on Now Ayrshire Radio.
Now Ayrshire.
We've heard about the early days, so now let's talk about the business journey. So, Tom, what would you say your first big win was?
Well, as I say, getting first shop, but that was only footwear. And then being at a trade show, and someone said to me, Tom, have you saw these new shell suits? I'm sure you had one, Elliot. I'm sure you've still got one. And I said, what's a shell suit? And he said, well, come and I'll show you. So the very infamous shell suit, I went from not knowing what it was to being Europe's biggest seller of shell suits. So again, I really do look back at some of the points here and think, my goodness, how lucky I have been to bump into the right people at the right time. But, you know, if there was a piece of advice here for anybody, it would be you've got to put yourself out there in order to bump into the right people. You definitely do.
So, a good bit of advice there. I think something that people might not realise just the impact, especially with the social media world that we've got now, and most people sitting on calls all day, but you really can't meet going to trade shows, the networking, shaking hands with the right people, and that drink in the bar at the end of the night, which could spark a relationship for life.
That's it, Elliot. What we say to people these days when we're coaching other entrepreneurs on this journey is that nobody comes and knocks on your door and said, "Oh, I've got the best opportunity for you." You've got to put yourself out there. You've got to hustle. And entrepreneurs who sit beside their keyboard and are keyboard warriors, they don't cut it for me.
Oh, absolutely. Now, throughout your time, obviously a fantastic win, and the shell suit's been something you'd never heard of, just bumping out to the right person. I'm pretty sure, though, it's not all been a fantastic journey. There's been some bumps in the road. What would you say your hardest days been that you've faced along the way?
Well, I mean, the sports division story was, something quite incredible. Going from, selling shoes at the back of the van to buying Olympus Sport, a business which was 10 times our size, to becoming the biggest independent sports retailer in Europe, all run out of Dundonald in sunny Ayrshire here.
Fantastic.
And then somebody turning up, and somebody did turn up and phoned me and said, "Do you want to sell it, Tom?" And I was like, "No, I'll buy you," but I ended up selling it. So, I mean, that was just a fairy tale, and sometimes I can't believe it actually happened to me. But then we started West Coast Capital, which is our investment business. And I suppose the worst day was during the financial crisis, 2008, when and it was all my own fault that we had overextended ourselves. We had borrowed too much money. We thought we were better than we were. And when all the banks were going bust, they asked for their money back. And at that point in time, I couldn't give them their money back. And actually to look at myself in the mirror and say, hang on a minute, how did I get here? And more importantly, how am I going to get out of this position, So that was a pretty dark day, I would say.
It's good to hear from someone like yourself, from your stature, that whilst with probably the level of capital involved, that being such a significant hit, but throughout anyone's business journey, it can be a number of different factors, whether it's a cash flow impact when things can go wrong. Going on to your sports division and before you bought Olympus, in terms of acquiring the company, at what point did you look at it and go, this is the right decision to expand, that you maybe sports division can't do it itself, you're going to need to get somebody else in to try and grow to where you want to be?
Yeah, I was very fortunate in that I had found a brilliant team. I mean, a fantastic team, and I really felt that we could go places with it. We were about number 7 in the UK at the time, and I wanted to be number 1. I don't know why I wanted to be number 1, but I did. And the opportunity came up to buy Olympus, who were the number 1, but they were losing £14 million a year. But I knew that myself and my team could turn that round. So I put everything on the line there. I borrowed the money, put my house up as security. I didn't tell my wife.
Has she forgiven you?
I still don't think she knows. I hope she's not listening to the radio this morning. But but I had real faith in myself, and more importantly, my team. I know we're super ambitious, and we really wanted to prove that we could run this from Scotland. Indeed, we could run it from Dundonald, and we did.
A massive success story in Ayrshire. Now, going on to your West Coast capital days in 2008, delving into that. So, how did you get over that period? What was the key decisions that you made to still retain it to where it is today and still have West Coast capital surviving?
Yeah, so I guess it's like anything else in business. You gotta face up to your responsibilities, and you gotta have tough conversations. And I had to sit with the bank, and I said, well, look, if you want all the money back today, and by the way, you've just gone bust, so understand you're in a bad position, which has put me in a bad position. But if you want all your money back today, I can't do it. But I will work away, and if you give me time, we will sort this out. And we had some really tough conversations, but I stuck to my word, and that's what we did. We just worked away, and I think it's just that honesty of saying, look, I can't do this, but I can do that, and then do it. Don't let people down. And the bank got confident, because all of my relationships in the bank for 15 odd years had all been sacked, So I was facing people who didn't know me. So I was saying, look, if I say I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. But trust me in my actions. And then that takes time to build a new relationship. But then they probably saw in me somebody who was going to do what I said I was going to do. And that's exactly what we did.
So going on to, and talking again from an advice perspective, somebody's early on in their entrepreneurial journey, they're starting businesses. What would you say to them when they might be having those conversations with likes of banks and looking for investment, looking for capital in order to become established or to grow the business? What would your early start advice be for somebody?
Well, if I could just give a wee plug through the Hunter Foundation, we run Scale Up Scotland, and we run it from Blair Estate in North Ayrshire, just by Dalry. And what we're trying to do there is exactly what you've asked me. We're trying to help entrepreneurs, business people grow their businesses. And we pull them together in groups of about 12, and they come to Blair Castle, and we sit down, they stay overnight. We've got 20 bedrooms there. We have dinner together. And the real magic of that, Elliot, is they meet like-minded people. So the peer-to-peer support and learning is absolutely magic. And then once we've listened to them, we'll say, right, well, what we're going to do is we're going to run a program on how to internationalise your business. And I'll bring in one of my network who's been there, did it, done it, and they'll come and give a talk about internationalisation or staff incentives, or how do you float, or how do you get the money, or so. That's all happening in Ayrshire, and I'm very proud of it. And it's got 3 different levels, and it depends on the size of your business. We've got the pre-scaler, we've got scale up, and then we've got the ones that really want to go for it, Scale Up 2.0. All the details on thehunterfoundation.co.uk. It's all there.
Fantastic. And it's nice to know, and another thing and why we are so proud of it being right here in Ayrshire, the amount of things that is actually, and at home for the people listening, it is on your doorstep, and people like yourself, Sir Tom, and others that are out there that have had a fantastic journey. There's a lot of support right here. It's just about knowing to look for it, and also doing that first step, going online, searching it and getting in touch. Now, throughout your time, you've obviously had some difficult days, as we've mentioned, some hard days. What would you say your proudest moment's been?
Oh my goodness, I've got lots of proud moments. One of the proudest moments, my dad was still with us in 2005, and I was going to Buckingham Palace for my knighthood. And my dad wasn't very well, and when you go in, as I'm sure you know, Elliot, you're allowed 3 guests. So I took my wife, my eldest son, and my dad. And again, as I'm sure you know, when you walk in Buckingham Palace, there's these stairs, and there's all the footmen standing. I mean, it's quite a thing. And we were walking up the stairs. I was helping my dad, and one of the footmen said, "Hello, Campbell, how you doing?" My dad's like, "Hello." He says, "I'm for New Cumnock." Wow. And I think my dad was more proud of that than he was me getting a knighthood.
The fact he got a mention heading into Buckingham Palace.
He got a mention, so that was a lovely day. And then we had all the rest of the family, and we went for afternoon tea in the House of Lords. So it was a special day.
It's a special day, but very well deserved, given everything that you've done throughout your journey. Now, from your perspective, what's one of the biggest challenges of running a business today?
Always the biggest challenge and the biggest reward is the people. Every successful business which we coach or back, they've got a fantastic culture in the business. If you take a local example, Buzzworks. So Kenny Blair there has, with his brother and his sister, have created a brilliant business, Buzzworks. But one of the key areas of success there is the culture, is the quality of the people they've been able to attract and retain. And those people want to work really hard for the business. And I know Kenny works very hard at that culture. So that is very hard to achieve, but it's so rewarding once it happens.
It's right. You're only as good as the people that you've got round about you. If you look after your staff, then they'll fundamentally look after you and the business. And as a team, you grow things together.
That's it. And listen, if you want a small business, you can probably do it on your own. But if you want a business of substance, you cannot do that on your own. You've got to bring others in.
So what's the one piece of advice you'd pass on to anyone listening, similar to that, who's trying to start something, grow something, or just simply find direction?
Well, I think it could be very lonely, Elliot. That's another reason that we bring people together. Therefore, going out and finding like-minded people. Now, you might think, all right, that's quite easy, but it's not quite normal in Scotland. We're trying to make it more normal. But, you know, if you tell somebody today, "Oh, I'm starting one business," they might say, "Oh, you better watch. Oh, it's a bit risky. Oh, why are you doing that?" You know, whereas if you meet fellow entrepreneurs, they're saying, "Of course, yes, right. How can I help you?" So finding like-minded people, finding a network, and that network is what we're building at Scale Up Scotland.
Fantastic. Amazing advice from one of Scotland's best entrepreneurs and continuing to grow and offer advice back to people. So, Sir Tom, it's that time again. You get to pick the music. So what's a song that's inspired you, or a tune that instantly takes you back to a key moment in your life?
Well, it's got to be a Stevie Wonder song, because Stevie Wonder, I'm a huge music fan. My youngest son is a musician, and Stevie Wonder managed to get him to play at my 40th birthday, unbelievably. And so I would say Stevie, I get so many songs, but let's just say Stevie Wonder as...
Next, we're going to get Sir Tom involved in our Bargain of the Week challenge. Plus, we'll be finding out what drives him to give back so passionately to communities across Scotland just after this.
Now streaming
Ayrshire Insights, hosted by Elliot Boyce.
This is Now Ayrshire Radio.
And it's time to talk community, charity and that unmistakable Ayrshire pride. But before we dive into Sir Tom's incredible links to the community, the listeners have been in touch and they've been sending in their weekly bargains, the best thing that they've managed to bag this week. So, Sir Tom, it's over to you. What is your bargain of the week?
Well, my bargain of the week, Elliot, you won't be surprised to know it's a pair of trainers of On. Roger Federer backed this company. It's a Swiss company, and they've really taken the trainer market by storm. And I managed to get them at 40% off, so I've chuffed to bits.
There we go, your bargain of the week. And it had to be trainers, where it all started from. So, Sir Tom, back to you. What do you think of stations like us at Now Ayrshire Radio?
I love the fact that there's local stations, you know, for the local community, by the local community. I think that's really inspiring. And whereas, you know, I would have grown up in it with the Cumnock Chronicle, that was where you got the news. Well, I know the Cumnock Chronicle's still going, but, you know, radio's there, it's immediate. and you guys are doing a great job in that local community.
I appreciate that, and it's going from strength to strength, and it's great to hear. And part of Ayrshire Insights and what we do is we speak to local businesses every single week, and it is absolutely amazing to hear all the amazing ideas and businesses and people as well that are taking the jump and journeys with likes of AI and looking at that and all the things that actually happens right here in Ayrshire. Emergency One, where I work as well, it's a company in Cumnock, as you know, and is the UK's leading manufacturer of fire engines, selling fire engines across the globe, and it's from Cumnock, all with local people right here in Ayrshire, and some amazing stories. Now, on that, what does that local feeling mean to you?
Well, listen, I'm very proud of my new Cumnock roots. I still go back up there to see some of my pals, and, we're involved with the local pool up there, run by a couple of husband and wife team, Mary and Andy Clapperton, I actually went to school with. I think Mary actually worked in my dad's shop at one time. And King Charles has managed to get the pool there. So we're very proud to be able to help back in New Cumnock and do what we can.
Fantastic. Now, your work through business and philanthropy has clearly made an impact, but can you talk a little bit about the Hunter Foundation? What's things that you're doing right here in Ayrshire over and above what we've spoken about earlier today?
Yeah, well, we've talked about Blair Castle and Estate. So that's the Hunter Foundation's home in North Ayrshire, just by Dalry. And we use that to bring people together. I've talked about Scale Up, but we also bring head teachers together there for the Head Teacher Leadership Academy. And this is to inspire teachers so they come together and they share, again, this peer-to-peer learning and support. So, and I always say, if the cohort is successful, I'll judge it if the WhatsApp group's still going after 6, 12, 18 months. And a teacher maybe from Inverness is speaking to a teacher in Cumnock saying, I've got an exclusion, I don't know what to do. And then they can share all this over the WhatsApp group, So getting the head teachers through Blair has been a really proud moment for me as well. So it's amazing the things that are going on there, and I'm really, really proud of it.
Now, fantastic. And one thing that I've really taken from this interview is peer-to-peer. And that doesn't matter what walk of life you're on. If you have got a direction, a vision, if you get people, like-minded people around about you, keep in touch with them, keep engaging, learn from each other's experiences, it's only going to make you better and grow.
Yeah, and one of the things that I observe, Elliot, is when we put these people together, they don't know each other. So whenever they're saying, how's business? It's great. All right, okay. But once the trust begins to build, they'll say, how's business? Oh, well, I've actually got a problem. And they begin to share the problem, and then they begin to solve the problem. So, it's very hard for business people to say, I've actually got a problem, and we tend to keep it in. But once they build the trust there, that's the first step to solving the problem. And I think Scotland is brilliant at that. I don't see it happening anywhere else in the world where a fellow entrepreneur really wants you to succeed.
Now, an amazing story, and it's been great to hear the work being done by the Hunter Foundation. We're going to find out what's next for Sir Tom, plus finish with a fun round just after this.
This is the Ayrshire Insights Podcast with Elliot Boyce. And it's now time for 5 fast ones. So, Tom, don't think about it, don't pause, just shout out the first answer that comes into your head. Are you ready to play 5 fast ones?
Ready.
Right, your favourite takeaway?
Steak pie supper.
A song that always lifts your mood?
Never too much, Luther Vandross.
Best thing about Ayrshire?
New Cumnock.
Weirdest moment at work?
Oh my God, no, I've had to pause there. No, I can't. It's all just heavenly. There's no weird time.
And who plays you in the movie of your life?
George Clooney.
There we go.
I actually share a birthday, the same birthday in the same year as George Clooney. And when I introduced him in Edinburgh, I put up a picture of George Clooney looking gorgeous and me not looking so gorgeous. And I said, born New Cumnock, 1961. Born Kentucky, America, 1961. Where did it all go wrong, George?
Certainly not in Newcombe Nook. Now, thanks for playing 5 Fast Ones. We'll be asking our guests each week to get involved. Now, looking ahead, what's next for you and the work you're doing through business and philanthropy?
Our eldest son, Jamie, has joined West Coast Capital, which is really, I'm really enjoying working with Jamie. I never thought it would happen. So he's taking the business in a slightly different direction. We've just bought Port Edgar Marina over in the East Coast, and he's getting involved in every aspect of the business. I'm really proud of that. On the philanthropic side, we just launched the Entrepreneurs Manifesto, which was canvassing hundreds, if not thousands, of entrepreneurs in Scotland, seeing what they would want, because we've got a Scottish election coming up in May 2026, and we've put that out there again. You can find that on the Hunter Foundation's website. So it's really business as usual, very busy, enjoying every minute and enjoying the Ayrshire sunshine.
Now, what's one thing that you hope for Ayrshire's future?
Well, the one thing I would hope for Ayrshire's future is that the local authorities and the local politicians come together and actually try and solve some of the biggest issues. Let's have a look at Ayr High Street. Let's get it vibrant again. And, there are answers to the big questions in Ayrshire. It just needs leadership, and it needs people to be moving in the right direction. Don't be defensive. Don't sit in your own silo. Try and make it work for the good of Ayrshire. I am vocal about having 3 local authorities in Ayrshire. I don't think that's right. I think it means you've got a lot of costs. You've got 3 chief execs, 3 finance directors, 3 HR departments, blah, blah, blah. And it's not that big a place. Therefore, can we come together even just for shared services? So can the Ayrshires share the services so they're not stealing each other's people, etc.? So a bit of collaboration would be my shout.
Working together and trying to streamline services across the full of Ayrshire. Now, Sir Tom, I really appreciate you coming on the show this morning. Have you got any final shout outs or thanks before we wrap things up?
No, I'm very happy to come on. I need to go on to the next meeting, and your timing is impeccable, Elliot. So good luck to you. Good luck to everybody at Now Ayrshire Radio. I hope you do really well, and we'll see you all again soon.
Sir Tom, a massive thanks for coming on this morning.
All right, all the best.
This is the Ayrshire Insights Podcast.
Never miss an episode. Hit subscribe now.